What is up, y'all? Welcome to The Alternates. Thank you for joining us. We are a basketball show for the others where we like to showcase independent music and discuss all things basketball. I am your host, Brian Cullen, and with me is everyone's favorite, the giddy gritty, Clayton Stevens.
Hello, everybody.
Back in the flesh.
Back in the flesh.
Love to see you. You're out of the health and safety protocols. Good to be back. Before we get into what I think is a really stacked, great show today, where we're going to be hitting the headliners, we will be taking a trip to the altar of the basketball gods. That's right. We will be praying and asking.
Yep. And
of course, it's the beginning of the week, which can only mean one thing. It's Duo Jam time, baby.
NBA Duo Jam.
I'm somehow still excited for Duo Jam every week. Before we get into these headlines, want to take a quick second, ask you to subscribe to the show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Go ahead and like that video, drop us a comment, leave us a rating and review, and more importantly than all of that stuff, share the show. It helps people just like you find this show. People just like Kelly out in New Orleans, who's a big Pelicans fan, catches every episode. Shout out, Kelly. I hope you enjoyed an extremely exciting season from the Pelicans this year.
What a tale of two seasons, from the beginning to the end, to culminating in the best week of basketball in New Orleans history.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say that for sure.
At least since the Jazz left.
I mean, look,
sure.
Smoothie King Center has never rocked that hard before.
100%. Best Smoothie King has ever looked.
The smoothest king we've ever seen.
Smoothest king we've ever seen. It was awesome. Shout out to you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Pelicans.
Thank you so much, Kelly. If you want to get a hold of us, you can do so by emailing us thealternateshoop@gmail.com, and go ahead and follow the show on TikTok at The Alternates NBA. Clayton, how the hell are you, buddy?
I'm good. Super happy to be out of the protocols, back in person, hanging out. Feeling good though. Everything went totally fine with all of that stuff. Appreciate everyone checking in, but everything was totally cool and just great basketball. We're out of the first round.
Yeah.
A long first round. You know,
I forget every year how long the first round is.
And especially with the play-in tournament now, right?
Yeah.
Like it adds that extra few days, and but I'm not complaining. I'm really not. Like, it was a great first round of basketball.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was one sweep, and the rest of them were somewhat interesting, minus Heat Hawks. I think the rest of the series were very interesting. So let's get into it, because a lot has happened since the last time we recorded. We've got a handful of teams that have moved on. We are full blown in the semis now.
The train's moving. We're in two. We're in round two.
We have a full-blown semi right now, so let's check it out. We've got the Sixers, Suns, Mavs, and Grizzlies all closed out their series to advance into the second round. Then the second round's already started. Crazy. I got to say, before we really get into it, the scheduling was ridiculous. No games on Saturday, and then 2 morning games on Sunday. I get that they were East Coast games, but what are we doing here? What are we really doing here? They weren't even both East Coast games. Let me take that back. One of them was a West Coast game. Kind of, yeah.
The whole Memphis being a Western Conference team is fair.
Pretty.
Yeah, but yes. Odd timing, having no games on Saturday. Yes, strange. The scheduling is tough. I think we got to give them a little break here, and it's game one. You know, hopefully by the time we get deep into these series, it's going to be more prime time. Yeah.
I give them no leash, but I appreciate that you're a good person. So the Bucks in game one defeated the Celtics 101-89. Ouch. Yeah, that was look, Sunday morning for breakfast, I had a big old slice of humble pie for all of my Celtics takes.
Yeah.
Wow. And then the game after that was Warriors-Grizzlies. The Warriors win in an absolute nail biter.
Yeah.
117-116. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Lot to say there. But as we've been doing in the postseason, we're picking a stud, we're picking a dud, and then we're going to open a flood of overreactions. I'm going to pick the stud today.
All right, let's hear it.
I've got a bit of a left field pick here with the stud. I'm going back to the first round. The closeout games, Dallas Mavericks.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
Stud material.
Yeah,
so
tell me why.
There's a few reasons why I've got them as a stud. One of the main ones is they got out of the first round.
Yes.
They advanced. They have
Yes.
not won a playoff series since 2011 when they won the National Basketball Association title.
Unbelievable.
So cool. And look, I know that Mavs fans were celebrating. I think Clippers fans were celebrating. I don't think either fan base, I think they were both happy to not see each other in the first round.
Yeah, I think those two teams would like to not see each other for quite some time.
Yeah. And that was a great game. That was a great game. Look,
Great game.
Utah, they were in Utah. Utah was controlling that game in the first half, went into the half with a lead. And then Dallas comes out and literally they won this game in the third quarter. I think it was, they scored 30 to Utah's like 18 in the third quarter. And look, Luka, all the flowers, absolutely great. We know that he's transcendent. We know he's a star. But I want to give a little bouquet here to Dorian Finney-Smith, who was fantastic in that game.
Love Finney-Smith.
He was everywhere. He did everything that he needed to do, and he was a huge part of that success in the third quarter. And look, even with that, it was an incredible ending. It came down to a missed wide open shot by Utah, and Dallas moves on. That final possession I was on the edge of my seat. It was absolutely incredible. It was everything that I wanted to see in a closeout game.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you pointed out Dorian Finney-Smith because, shout out to the Mavericks for sticking with him for years, developing this guy, standing by him when he's had ups and downs at times, and look at the result that they have now.
Can't argue with it.
You can't argue with it. He's a great defender. He's a good shooter, a very smart guy, and their whole team is sort of filling in that identity, right? Like they've sort of turned into a high IQ team around Luka, and I think that that's really helping them, and it really helped them in this game close out here, like you said, in the third quarter, put the clamps on, played some really good defense, and obviously you got Luka on your team. You're always going to feel like you have a shot, and yes, for Utah fans, of course, this was a heartbreaking loss. Of course this was, but when we're watching the playoffs, all we can hope for is to have hope as fans, right? To have that moment of, oh my God, we're going to do it, and the heartbreak it's all part of it, right? All that stuff. And if you're a Utah fan, that moment where Bogey pump fakes and suddenly he has the most wide open three you've maybe ever seen in a playoff game.
In the last moment of a playoff game.
To win the game. In that moment, you couldn't have been filled with more hope, right? So just a great moment, a great game. I got to shout out on that play, though, right? I brought this up to you. I started watching this play because I was like, God, like what?
How?
Like, oh my God, how did he get so open? Like, what a play call by Quinn Snyder. Like, I got to look at this play, and I'm watching it. All of a sudden, I noticed Jordan Clarkson. So if you look at this play at the top of the key, Jordan Clarkson is being guarded by Dinwiddie. Bullock is following Bogdanovic. Clarkson it's not even a moving screen. He just grabs him and pushes him into Bullock, giving Bogey just enough time to get that open three. And then shout out to Bogey on a really smart pump fake, having that clock awareness to know that he had enough time to get the pump fake. Shot doesn't go down, Utah season ends, but wow. Yeah, this was a stud game, no question.
I do like that you're giving Clarkson a bit of a soft kind of take here on calling it a push. In my mind, a push is an action and then somebody separates. There was no separation. He grabbed Dinwiddie's jersey and dragged him.
It's hilarious. Yeah, if you haven't seen that in the play, I highly suggest going back and looking at it. I watched it like 6 times because I was like, that was the same thing. I was like, that was an incredible play. And I didn't catch it until you pointed it out to me. And then I saw it. Clearly the basketball gods saw it live and punished them.
And punished them for that.
Yeah, very funny.
Okay, who's the dud here?
You know who it is.
Yeah,
it was the Bucks and Celtics. Look, a good first half. It was actually a refreshing first half. I will say that, right? Like really physical basketball. It felt like this is the playoffs that we've kind of wanted. And it felt like this season in general, physicality was up. And this felt like, oh wow, we're really getting what we've kind of all been asking for, like all that. And then by the time the second half rolls around, it felt like that physicalness really favored the Bucks. The Bucks sort of put their foot on them and just ended it. Drew Holiday had a phenomenal
he was
game,
incredible,
on both sides of the ball, obviously. Bit of a dud. What'd you see from your Celtics here?
Yeah, look, it was a dud, right? You look at that final score, there's no question that this was the dud of the weekend. However, I am not counting this out as a dud series yet.
Yeah.
Look, the Bucks, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. They are the defending champs for a reason. But on the Celtics side, there's a few things that I saw. One, we could have the argument over rest and rust, right? Because they had the longest time off between series. They closed theirs out in 4 and got to kind of sit back for a little while. For me, it was Jaylen Brown. It was the worst Jaylen Brown game that we've seen in the postseason so far. Yeah. His worst one in probably 2 months. I don't think that is going to be a pattern here. I think Jaylen Brown will bounce back and look more like the Jaylen Brown that we've seen in the second half of this season.
Yeah.
So I'm giving them some hope there. And there was a major over-reliance in Boston on Peyton Pritchard in that game. And I do think that after watching film, they're going to realize, hey, we got to shorten up this rotation. It's going to come down to the health of Marcus Smart and Time Lord, who both look like they got, pretty shaken up on a few plays there. But if those guys are ready to go, I think that Boston shortens those rotations. Peyton Pritchard cannot play that much. And I still have some hope for them here, making this an interesting series.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, having to play the Nets before this, totally different matchup, totally different style of team. Like, the Nets had these small guards out there with Mills and Curry and Kyrie, and the Bucks just don't play like that. They play big guys. And especially without Middleton, you notice their team is jumbo. Like they're playing all big guys, right? More Portis, more Connaughton, even Grayson Allen for a guard is pretty big, right? Like it's just really big at every position. So it's going to be tough for Peyton Pritchard. He's going to play a role. The Bucks shoot so many threes that at times you are going to need that 3-point threat. But let's see if Ime Udoka and the team can make some adjustments.
Yeah.
Figure out something to get back in the series. I'm with you. I'm not counting them out yet. But huge statement win for the Bucks here.
Completely agree. Okay, let's open the overreaction floodgates here.
Let's open it up.
I've got the Warriors-Grizzlies game hitting the flood this week.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I have thoughts, maybe some hot takes here.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to overreact to the Grizzlies. Now, look, we called this a nail biter. It was a 1-point game.
Yes.
It came down to a missed finger roll. However, I don't think that final score is indicative of the matchup here. And look, everyone knows we love the Grizzlies on this show.
Oh, yeah.
We've been very high on them.
Yes.
Very pro-Jaw. So much fun to watch. But what I saw in that game is one team clearly better than the other, and that's the Warriors. And I think that this series has the most dud potential because of what I saw from the Grizzlies. Now, look, there's a few things that the Grizzlies stayed in this game with that I think are completely unreliable in a 7-game series. You had Ja Morant look like Steph Curry from 3 in that first half. He was incredible from deep. That's not who he is as a career player.
Yeah, and they're gonna let him take that shot all series.
I don't and look, there is a lot of volatility in the variance of 3-point shooters. If you are not a sharp shooting guy, that is your thing. That is not Ja's thing.
No.
The Warriors were without their best defender through most of that game because of what, look, I'm going to say it. It was a bullshit flagrant 2. Flagrant 1, I'm okay with. I hated the play. He grabbed the jersey and brought him down. It's very dangerous. That is not a flagrant 2. Scott Foster, I think, made what Draymond has dealt with a lot in his career, which was a reputation call. I think any other player does that, and that's a flagrant 1. So no Draymond in the second half of that game. The officiating, and it's going to be hard to argue this with me, was heavily favored for the Grizzlies.
I would agree.
The Grizzlies got a very favorable whistle.
They got the home whistle.
Yes.
They got the home whistle. I would agree.
And then, so all of that aside, I think that kept them in the game. You're not going to get that every single game. And then on the other side of it, I'm going to go in on Ja for a second here, because what I saw down the stretch of that game was a complete lack of awareness and IQ from a player that I love. Steph Curry picked up his 5th foul with more than 5 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, questionable 5th foul as well.
Totally questionable, but a 5th foul nonetheless. I don't know about you, but if you're playing the Warriors in a playoff series, you want Steph Curry off the floor as much as possible.
Yeah.
They ran one play at Steph in the final 5 minutes, and it came in like the last 2 minutes of the game. It was Ja having the ball, getting in. And look, to his credit, he was getting layup after layup, tying the score. He was keeping the Grizzlies in it. But there's got to be another level other than I can score this ball. And there has to be that awareness of their best player is in foul trouble. We need to attack that. There was a point, I think, with like 3 minutes left, Brandon Clark came up to set the screen and Ja waved it off. And I thought in my head, here it is. He figured it out. He's going to call up Desmond Bane for the screen, get the switch, attack Steph, try to get him fouled out. But no, he just went into an ISO play. The one play Ja ran at him, it was after getting into the lane over and over and over, and it became so predictable. Steph Curry got a block. He blocked the layup.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, let's go back to the Utah game. That final thing. Bogdanovich is not Utah's best player, but they went for the best shot to win that. You can look, they lost. They've gotten a lot of heat on this show from us as a roster, as a team, the Jazz, but they got the best shot you could possibly get.
You live with that shot.
100, you take that shot 100 times out of 100.
Yeah.
There was no attempt to find anything like that from the Grizzlies, and it cost them the game. I really do think that Ja's heroics at the end of the game cost them that game, and if it continues, it will cost them this series.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, yes, he was getting to the paint, but sometimes you want your best player to get to the paint, not to score, but to create looks for other guys. To draw defenses. Right? And he kind of iced out the best offensive player on their team in Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
So I saw that as well from them. I agree with you, but look, the result, I think, is swaying this a little bit for us, right? Like, I'm not totally against what you're saying, but I don't think Memphis is totally out of this by any means. I saw some really great stuff from some of their guys. I mean, I thought Brandon Clark was absolutely incredible in this game.
Yeah.
Really put his stamp on it. And he has shown through these playoffs that he's that impact guy and that he is just an unbelievable offensive rebounder, one of the best I've ever seen at his size.
Yeah.
I saw some stuff that I really liked from them, but yeah, if they're going to beat a team that is this high IQ, that moves the ball this much, has this much off-ball movement, does all this stuff, you're going to have to be better on the offensive end. I thought the Grizzlies did enough defensively overall. Can they get better offensively? Can they execute when it matters the most? That's what's going to determine if they can, let alone beat the Warriors, keep it a competitive series moving forward.
I still think that there's improvement defensively for them. I think they got caught ball watching several times, and we saw the Warriors cut baseline over and over and over because guys in the key were watching Steph Curry with the ball instead of watching their guy in the corner running to the rim.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong with that. So, yeah.
All right. Well, last little piece here in headliners. Bit of a bummer. Joel Embiid is out indefinitely with an orbital fracture after taking an elbow to the face by Pascal Siakam in Game 6. The man broke his face. What does this mean for Philly going into the second round?
I'll tell you Wait a second. I hear something.
I hear that too.
I hear bells.
Those are church bells?
That's right, because we are at the altar of the basketball gods.
Wow.
This brings me right into my ask for the basketball gods. Oh, gods, please listen. Please listen to me, because I have a humble ask for you. Just a very humble ask. We know Joel Embiid is going to miss a couple games in this series. We already know that. So I'm not asking for anything in these first couple games. But what I would like to see is face mask Joel Embiid.
Ooh.
Be the superhero and come back for them in Game 3. Get them in this series. Be the superhero that they need. You know, there's a long list of guys who have put on the mask and had incredible games, incredible series in the playoffs. Shout out a couple of them here.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, the original Mask. No, 2012, when I was looking up, 2012 was really the year of the Mask.
Yeah. On the basketball calendar, that is known as the year of the Mask.
2012 was the year of the Mask. Kyrie on the Cavs scores 41 with a face mask on. Kobe breaks his face in the All-Star game, comes back and scores 38 against the Kings. LeBron goes for 61 in a face mask. And then, of course, we have the legendary Russell Westbrook in 2015, 49 points with the face mask on.
Also one of the worst face breaks I've ever seen.
You'll ever see, yeah. Absolutely. And then we can't talk about face masks without mentioning Rip Hamilton, the absolute face mask GOAT, right?
Yeah.
So here's what I want. I want the basketball gods to just have the Sixers be competitive in these first two games, even if they lose these first two games, because it gives Joel Embiid a reason to be out there and then put that mask on. The city of Philadelphia, can you imagine how insane that arena is going to be if Joel Embiid walks out there with the face mask on? Come on, let's go.
Lecter Embiid.
Right? He's already basically a wrestler.
Yeah.
He that's sort of his persona anyways. So I just want to see him come out there, give it a chance, hopefully save the Philadelphia 76ers season, because I just don't want to see it end like this.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I think we all want to see them get a fair shot to see if this team is what they could be.
Yeah. I just want to see Doc choke it fair and square. That's all.
Hey, your guy Danny Green came through.
He
did. But yeah, that's my ask for the basketball gods. Let's get face mask Embiid, the superhero, to come back.
I love this ask. This is great. I'm also very excited for these first couple games because there's some great narrative going into this series without Embiid. All eyes on Harden, who was pretty bad through the first 5 games of that first round, and then he really came through in game 6.
He was excellent.
Started to look like the Harden that we knew a few years ago. It's going to come down to, can you still be that guy, and can you shake the playoff narrative now that you are the guy again in at least a couple games? I think it makes it so exciting.
I agree.
Okay, basketball gods. My ask is a little less specific than that. But look, we just got out of the first round. All of the home court teams closed out their series and advanced. We've got the top 4 in each conference now. I want an upset. I was looking for an upset in round 1. We didn't get it. Understandably so. I think the gap of talent is much smaller now. And I want an upset in the second round. I think the most likely upset, brace yourself, is Bucks over Boston.
Wow, okay, yeah.
I think that is probably the most likely upset to happen here.
Yeah.
But the upset that I want to see, and not for really any personal against any franchise or players or anything like that, but I want Dallas to get the upset here in the second round, because it's not just an upset. It's the upset of the second round. And I would love nothing more than to see a team that has not won a playoff series since the last time over 10 years ago win the title, suddenly win multiple playoff series. I think that would be so exciting.
Yeah.
I think that it can happen. I don't know if I'm necessarily putting a ton of money on it, but Luka creates issues for everybody.
Yep.
And I don't think it's insane to say that there is a chance that they're able to do this. And that's all I want from the gods. Give me an upset. Let's make this second round interesting.
I like it. And I like the Mavs as a pick here because I feel like they really learned some stuff in this playoffs. The last couple playoffs, the book on them has been, look, it's just a Luka-centric team. He's going to go crazy in some games, but if you just limit the other guys, he's going to run out of gas. He's not going to be able to finish it out. But with the emergence of Brunson and the emergence of all these role players and sort of the up and down roller coaster of Dinwiddie, but the emergence of the team, I think this really gives them a chance. Because if you have a crazy Brunson game, that's a win. You're going to have a couple Luka games. You're going to have a hot 3-point shooting game. And we don't know how Booker is going to recover here. He came back and gave them a couple okay minutes and hit one big shot, but versus a team like this, I think it's going to be a lot harder for them. Very fun pick here. And obviously, look, the more Luka, the better for everybody.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Agreed. Yeah. I'm very excited to see what game 1 looks like. So that leaves us with one place to go, and that's Duo Jam.
Ah, yes.
Let's get into it. So to recap, last week, we picked our Duo Jam based off of the Suns Pelicans series. We were both very high on the series, saw some potential there for the Pelicans. Shout out Kelly again. So I picked the Pelicans. I went with Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. Brandon Ingram, incredible. Absolutely incredible. He put up 74 fantasy points. Huge couple games for him. CJ McCollum looked pretty good in those games as well. And he put up 60.2 fantasy points, giving me a total of 134.2. Great for 2 games.
Yeah.
So stoked here. You picked the Suns. You picked your traditional small big duo with Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton put up 73.7 points. Respectable. Good.
He was very efficient in this whole series.
Very efficient.
Yeah.
And then Chris Paul, of course, this is Duo Jam, right? So I didn't pick the Suns, and Chris Paul sets NBA history
Yes.
with a perfect game.
14 for 14 from the field, perfect from the free throw line.
He shot 100, 100, 100 splits from the floor, giving him 104.7 fantasy points. You beat me by over 40 points. I'm speechless. I am speechless.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. What am I doing wrong here?
I don't know what you're doing wrong, but look, I mean, I said if the Suns are going to move on, they're going to need a crazy performance from Chris Paul, and he more than came through for me. It was thrilling, you know. I mean, like, we don't need to get into it too much, but it was thrilling to see, like, every shot you kept thinking, oh, this one's gonna miss this, and everyone was like cash too. Like, there was no like ins and outs.
Yeah.
It was
bottom of the net every single time.
Just it looked like he was out there practicing. It was awesome. It really was.
Yeah. Well, it might have been awesome for you.
Yeah.
We're leaving Duo Jam. We're going back to the altar. Basketball gods, help me out here. Please help me out here. I don't know what to do with my life anymore. All right. So this week, we are picking from a very interesting series in the semis, and that's the Heat versus Sixers.
Classic East Coast matchup.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. I'm going to take the Heat here, which is going to leave you with Philly. Mm-hmm. Now, I could not
Heat injury report.
I could not be in a more precarious position picking this before the game here on Monday morning. I looked at the injury report, and
it's long.
Half of the Miami Heat are listed as questionable. I mean, look, we're better off listing who is for sure active.
Yeah.
But I'm going to gamble. Whatever, man. Nothing scarier than a man that has nothing to lose. And
Roll
that's
those
me.
dice.
That's me right now. So I'm going with Jimmy Butler, who is listed as questionable. Now, I am going with him because I do think that they saw the end of that series and rested him knowing that they were going to need him. Now, no Joel Embiid could change this for me, but with James Harden playing, I think that they're going to need Butler active. So I'm picking him, and I'm pairing him up with Defensive Player of the Year candidate Bam Adebayo.
Love it. Great pairing. And look, if Jimmy's going to want to play any team, it's going to be his old team in the Philadelphia 76ers. 100%. You know he wants to come out and give it to them. So if he's healthy enough to get out there, I think he will be showing up in this game.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, you have an interesting pick here. So who do you have coming out of the Embiidless Sixers?
Right, exactly. Obviously, Joel Embiid would have been the number one pick here, fantasy monster. I'm going to go with James Harden because similar to my Chris Paul pick, if the Sixers are going to keep this competitive and stay in it, they're going to need a huge performance.
A perfect game from James Harden.
Yeah, and look, not
20 of 20 from the field.
Not only, look, what James Harden can do we've seen him do on teams is play really well with small ball. And the Sixers do have some interesting small ball. You know, they have the guys to do it. So maybe he's going to dish out a bunch of assists and be that playmaker that we saw him be in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right? Like more of that guy. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, to get those extra fantasy points. And then I'm pairing him with Tobias Harris.
Wow.
Who really is an underground network superstar right now in the playoffs. He's playing super well. He's been super efficient from the field. Nobody's talking about how awesome Tobias Harris has been in these playoffs. Hitting threes, hitting the mid-range.
Grabbing boards.
Yeah, going for the boards. I'm going with old steady Eddie Tobias Harris.
Wow. I love it. Could play in my favor. I love that we're so high on Tobias Harris, not exceeding what he is, just being what everybody has always wanted him to be. So,
hey, if he can keep this up, it's going to be huge for the Philadelphia. There's a reason he got that contract. It's because this is the player that he is.
Yeah.
As long as he can live up to this, it's really good news for Philadelphia.
So you favor him over Maxey, huh?
Look, I've been saying it. I love the way Maxey's been playing, but it just has felt unsustainable to me. You know, a young player doing this much that fast, like I'm just not ready to pick him to be my fantasy guy. And like you said, I like Tobias on the boards and stuff like that too. So
okay, great. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to win this round. I am looking to pick up my 4th win of the season. 4. That's all I need. Just give me a 4th win.
You and the Cincinnati Reds are trying to pick up your
3-12 right now.
season.
I'm 3-12 right now, and it's absolutely pathetic. Well, that's going to be today's show. Thank you all so much for joining us. We had a great time. We hope that you had a great time as well. Clayton, what are we leaving everybody with? I know this is a special one here.
This is a special one, and look, this is a little bit of somber news that we got to talk about here, and that's we lost a really important person in the punk rock community, someone that really, he meant a lot to me. He meant a lot to a lot of people. His name was Gabe Serbian. Most people know him as the drummer of the Locust, but he was involved in Cattle Decapitation, Holy Molar, Head Wound City, Les Butcherettes. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. A San Diego icon. We lost him a day before his birthday the other day, and the Locust themselves asked that we celebrate his life. So this isn't, this isn't anything too sad, because he gave us all this great art that we get to now cherish and hold with us forever. And so I chose a Locust song here because the Locust are just one of the most influential, amazing bands that has ever done it in hardcore punk rock ever. Just so fun and just absurdist, but they're like, to me, they're like the hardcore version of Devo, where it's absurdist and it's silly, but there's a serious, interesting edge to it. And Gabe was such a vital part of what they did, and a vital part of, like I said, the Southern California punk scene and around the world. So shout out to Gabe Serbian. Shout out to everyone in San Diego, the Locust crew, 31G Records, all those people. The song I chose specifically, it's called 23 Lubed-Up Schizophrenics with Delusions of Grandeur.
Classic.
This is from the compilation album called Molecular Genetics from the Gold Standard Labs on 31G and Anti Records. This song specifically came from their amazing split with Melt Banana.
Great band.
Yes. Completely
Completely underrated band from Japan. I got to see them play at the Smell. Yeah, incredible. Yeah, thank you. So, like, I really appreciate those words. They, whether you loved them or hated them, they formed alternative music forever.
Yes.
And there's no denying that. Such influence on not
their
just
impact,
the SoCal scene, but all across the globe.
Yep.
Rest in peace, Gabe.
Yep.
We will be back in a few days. Remember to be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, appreciate greatness while it's here, and hug your loved ones.